Mr. Naved Ahmed, thank you very much for accepting my request slash invitation to this discussion. I was going through your blogs and immediately I realized that you are a person with a lot of hands-on experience, along with that tremendous passion to, towards the subject of scheduling, especially shutdown maintenance and other forms of scheduling.
Thank you,
So
𝗍𝗍.
thank you very much for accepting this amidst your busy schedules. And for those of you who are not familiar to me, it is more like my name is 𝗕𝗫𝗁𝗁 and my colleagues call me 𝗍𝗵𝗵𝗲. So I'm in the project management domain for more than 3 decades now. And I'm also equally passionate into the entire spectrum of project management, like Naved. And most of my time I spend in IT project management, especially agile and predictive project management, maybe 25 years in IT and maybe 5 years in construction kind of thing. So I'm not hands-on on heavy duty scheduling of EPC projects, and I have a lot of questions to ask you in that regard. The first thing is I would love to know what is this GAO. That is a standard, I think. So can you just explain what it is? What is GAO?
Sure, 𝗍𝗍. Thank you for your introduction, and I'm pleased to be here with you, speaking for the audience, and I would be glad to answer your queries. Okay, so coming back to your question about the GAO schedule assessment guide. Actually, it's a document by the US, we call it the defense, not the defense, but the US
government body. It's a government body, I think.
Yes, it's a US government body, and to manage all their programs and projects, they came up with a standard that all their contractors, all their subcontractors and their subcontractors can follow a standard guide to follow, and come up with a schedule that will be aligned, and it's very much in line with what the client is expecting, what the government is expecting from them. So, and this is developed in alignment with cost assessment guide. They also developed a cost assessment guide to manage their project, and to help the cost assessment guide, this was developed as a support thing, because any project, to manage the cost, you need to have a schedule, because the schedule will drive your cost. If you're delayed, it will show you like how much you are delayed, and how you can predict how are you going to do in the future. So all the schedule assessment can be done with this guide, and this will ultimately help you drive your cost for the project.
Okay. So yeah, so I think the US federal projects comply with this.
Sure.
Yeah, because there were other standards also for them, contracting guidelines, and a lot of other things as well.
Indeed.
Yeah. Now, this PMI-SP schedule practitioner, is it aligned with this GAO guide? What is the
I would
connection?
say
Yeah.
I would say yes. It's not completely aligned, because see, the schedule practice guide, it's developed by PMI, and this is more as a guide for the students, or the scheduling practitioners, like how they can be more into the scheduling, and it's more in detail. And whereas the GAO assessment guide, it's like a guideline, and it's very brief. I mean, I would still prefer, referring to the GAO assessment guide than the PMI-SP, because here in this assessment guide, it gives you a clear instruction like what you have to do, what should be in your schedule, and what is the basic thing that you need in a schedule. Whereas in the practice guide, it's completely detailed, the same thing, but for from a reader's perspective, if I'm reading the schedule practice, I mean the scheduling, this the schedule practice guide, I would be like, overwhelmed, and I won't be able to get what the author wants to say to me, like what the book wants to say. Like it's still, the PMI books are so detailed, and it's so much of theoretical that, I mean, without proper example, that um it's very hard to align for any new student or somebody who is not aware with the scheduling practice, or not doing the schedule on a daily basis.
Okay.
Whereas if you see the GAO assessment guide, there are case studies, and there are examples to support what they want to say.
Is it a free download, GAO guide?
Um, yes, the GAO assessment guide is a free download document. You can download it on the website. Whereas for the for the PMI document, the scheduling practice one, you have to take a membership and then download the document.
Right. Now coming back to scheduling, now if you really apply, let us say, the PDCA to the scheduling part alone, we have to plan for scheduling, then we have to literally do the scheduling, then you have to
Yes,
monitor and control the scheduling part of it. And once in a while, if there is a variance, maybe sometimes we may have to revise the schedules.
sure.
So uh, when do we really start work on the schedule? Maybe we can, for all our today's discussion, maybe we can base our discussions on a shutdown project, maybe. So when
Sure.
do we really start the planning part of scheduling?
A good question, maybe. Well, I would say, I mean, taking it from the turnaround perspective, and the project perspective, the scheduling part remains the same. I mean, once you have your contract document, or your main contract from the client, and or if you are a client, and you know what your scope will be. We have the scope definition. We know what will our scope have in total. So once you have that document, the scope definition document, and from there on you can start developing your schedule. So before you start that, it's very important for you to have the scope defined very very precisely. Once you have that, you start developing your WBS. That is the main thing initially you will start with, and then you start detailing all your activities based on your scope, and based on the stakeholders who will be involved with your project. So it varies from industry to industry, and we cannot say like, this principle works best with everyone. So it's, based on industry it will vary, and this is where the differences comes in. Like, the approach is same, the scheduling thing is the same, the tool remains the same, but only the principles that comes along with the industry, that varies from industry to industry.
Yeah, this PMI, I still recollect. PMI always says that in the PMBOK earlier
Yeah,
versions, they say that whatever is there in the WBS only will be delivered. And if it is not there in the WBS, it will not be there in the final product. And and you also have a lot of concerns, because one of the pointers you are giving for a perfect schedule is completeness. We are not supposed to miss out activities. Uh,
exactly.
and one person may not have the know-how to identify all the activities. So
Correct.
Definitely it has to be a collaborative effort across multiple disciplines.
Agree.
So we need to form a team uh, while drawing the schedule also, or yeah, and then maybe, or they would do it differently, independently, and then bring it together and then merge it. It is a team effort.
Yes, it's a
So
team effort. I agree.
yeah, now who all will be the typical stakeholders, in that team actually?
For the stakeholders, let's say an example. I mean, um, uh, I would say preferring to my industry that I follow, the
Right,
turnaround business and how it works for the turnaround thing. So in my case, like um, when I'm developing a schedule, I need to make sure I have my scope owner, the person who will be directly involved, the execution leads, for like in intern on business, we define the WBS very detailed, and I mean the activities are heavily coded with activity code. So, and we group and sort, so it's not a particular WBS that we look for, but based on the group and sorting, we define the WBS. And that is where none of the activities gets lost, or it's hanging somewhere that is not linked to no WPS. So it's aligned that way. But to do that, we need to capture each and every activity that will be involved per scope. For example, let me give you an example. Like if I'm working on a scope for a heat exchanger, it's a short, I mean, a short scope. Like let's say your heat exchanger just needs to be open up and clean, clean the tubes, and then close it back again. So for to do this job, I need to know like who are the people involved. When I'm developing a schedule, I need to know the resources that will be involved, and the materials or the equipment that will be needed, everything, the in resources that I will be needed. So to give this information, the right person will be the execution guys, the guys who are hands-on with the job, with the tools. So this is where the execution lead comes into picture, and then you have the planners, the scope owners, like who actually leads the job. So when a planner is developing that, he is also aware of the job. He studies the drawing, he studies the PNID, he identifies the equipment, and he identifies the services that will be required. Maybe you need an external third party contractor for that, or maybe you need some specialized services that will be needed for that project. So a planner, I would say, plays a very key role in identifying all the activities, all the nitty-gritty things, to look after every detail. But the main activities that will be defined, it all comes through the scope owner, or I can say the execution lead, or the person directly involved with the job. So that is where the scope is defined. And then for other activities, like you have other stakeholders, like for inspection, you will involve the once your plan is ready, you will involve the inspection guys, like, hey guys, how many hours do you need for inspection? So that is where the quality part comes in. Then if you have, and then you will have operation guys working on your project. So they are the one ultimately to accept the job. So we need their approval. So once the equipment is ready, we need to identify this activity. So this is where all the activities you will capture it. I mean, be it um, be it like very not very important for others, but but it is needed. Like you cannot just randomly assume it, like the inspection is included with the approval from the operation. It's not happening. So to get that approval, you need to include that activity separately. So this is where you capture all the activities, and make sure like nothing is missing in your activity schedule, because the guys who will read the schedule, he will identify, okay, this is my part, this is inspection part, this is execution guide part, and this is the scheduler part to look into it. So that is where it's very important to involve all the stakeholders, I would say. And and this is what we do. Like once we develop a schedule, either we do it in a group, or as a planner, he will first identify the activities himself. and then give it to roll it out to all the stakeholders for review, and then they come up with the comments. Or maybe we have a weekly meeting, or twice weekly, and then we go through the scopes and identify each and every activity so that nothing is missing in the schedule.
So maybe that is a great opportunity to switch to maybe agile mode. While preparing the
Yeah.
schedule, maybe I think there is ample scope for adopting some of the agile practices like the daily stand-ups and then maybe a planning meeting and weekly reviews, retrospective.
Actually, if you see, indirectly we do use it. I mean, we are agile on our project, and but the only thing is we don't use the term, the
Right.
agile term that comes into picture. But I would say, like, we are doing it the agile way in
Yeah, the
one or
moment
other
the
manner.
moment you start using the term agile, sometimes it will invite resistance also. So
Yeah,
maybe so what you're doing is the right thing. Uh,
you're right.
so typically now, what will be the percentage of time that is spent on scheduling? Uh,
The
if
percentage.
the total project is, let's say, 100, and what will be the typical person? Is it 10% of the effort, or what will be the typical effort you spent on preparing and revising the schedule and baselining it, whatever?
I would say, like, it cannot be definitive, but yes, we can keep it in a range of um, 12 to 20%. And because this will be an ongoing process until you are into the execution mode, and you still have the scheduler performing the analysis job, and uh, the look ahead and everything. So, but initially for the planning part, I would say that, yeah, 12%, 12 12 is minimum. Like, you
10 to
need that.
10 to 12% of the overall project effort will get into
Correct.
schedule preparation and release and maintenance kind of thing.
Correct. And it also depends on the experience of the scheduler, how, and the tool that you're using. Because for example, if I give an example, like for package preparation, like, we are currently using the application Rosa. So when I have to develop a work scope in Rosa, um, it's very easier for me than doing it from scratch on Primavera P6, because in Rosa we have a library of database, and all the activities are predefined. So for an exchanger, what all activities are needed, it's already defined in that database. So you just go to exchanger, you just select all your activities. It's just one click away, and you get all your activities in. Then you just change your duration and the resources. So, I mean, the tools are helping us more, to be more precise, and it saves a lot of time. I mean, these are more helping tools to us now.
Yeah, so
So
what
otherwise, I
is,
would say,
sorry, yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
otherwise, developing it on a Primavera P6, it's a very challenging job. I mean, developing a schedule for around 10,000 activities, it takes a lot of effort from a scheduler.
Right. So, what let me phrase it differently. My understanding is this tool, this Rosa, the tool has libraries for specific
Yes,
nature of work, and you can just click
indeed,
on
yes,
it and customize it, and then just change the resource and then take it. That
correct.
will reduce the cycle time for schedule development, and that will eliminate the challenges of omitting some of the key activities from the schedule.
Indeed, it's very
Yeah,
helpful.
that is pretty helpful. Okay.